Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome Beef Farm and Homestead. So we made it to the first week of October, and man, we've been blessed with some really wonderful weather. It's nice and cool and got a north breeze. It was about 45 degrees this morning when I got up and looked at my weather station. So it's been really nice the whole week. In fact, I took a few days off work to get some stuff done around here on the homestead and work on the bees some. So we started our oxalic acid treatments for Varroa mites, and I'm going to do the second treatment today, and I'll do at least 3, and I do them 6 to 7 days apart to break the mite cycle. Yeah, so when you are treating for mites with oxalic acid, you need to treat them more than one time. What happens is the acid crystallizes inside the hive, and it kills the mites that the acid vapors can get to. Now there's mites inside the cells where the baby bees are forming inside the brood, and the acid doesn't get inside there. So you have to wait till those open and then you hit it again. And the theory is you keep hitting it until you've got them all. So that's why you do it more than once with oxalic acid. Other treatments, you leave them in for a longer period of time and they take care of it that way. But I found oxalic acid is the most economical way for me. Once you get your equipment purchased, I started using a little wand vaporizer, and after I got more than 10-15 hives, it took me forever to get through that, because you kick it on for 5 minutes and wait for another 3 minutes, and I think those are the time frames, and before you can go to the next one. So it takes a long time. So now I use this Oxavape ProVape 110, and I'll put a link below to this. I think they're like $3.99, so they're pretty high, but man, it's worth the money once you get them going. And I have 3 cups I use with this, so I just keep it moving right down the line, and it probably takes me, I don't know, I'm guessing 1 minute per hive. So you put it in upside down, you flip it over, the crystals fall down in here, vaporize, and once it gets back to its normal temperature, I think that's 260 degrees Celsius, and once it gets to there, you pull it out and go to the next one. So and be sure you use a good acid rated mask. No matter what vaporizer you use, if you're using oxalic acid, get a acid rated mask. Don't get one of those little dust masks that you put over your face. That won't stop those vapors, and they will mess you up. So this is a 3M 5303. I think that number designates a large size, but this is a dual cartridge respirator, and it's acid rated. So I'll put a link below down to this one, and if you need a size that's smaller for you, I think if you click on this link, you can pick what size you need. So get what you need. And this is disposable. This is the 3rd year I've used it, and it seems to be doing okay. So I don't use it but twice a year when I do this. Multiple times though. So anyway, let's get started, and I'll show you how I do these hives and get them vaporized, And this is my second treatment of at least 3, and let's get going. So we are in our fall flow here in central Oklahoma. The asters are blooming really good, and the bees are all over the asters. And we have a purple variety up there. I probably showed some at the beginning of the video. Man, they are all over those. So as soon as we get a frost, we're gonna cut those flowers off and spread the seed all over out here as much as we can. Yesterday I had a beekeeper from central Oklahoma come and visit me, and he manages around 200 hives, and I was asking him about mites and what he thought, and he does a different type of treatment, which is really interesting. He has a thermal setup, and he heats the hive up. I think it's around 180, maybe 160. I don't know the exact temperature, but you can look it up. But he heats up the inside of the hive for a certain amount of time, and that's supposed to be a really effective method, and he's been experimenting with that, and it's very interesting. So I asked him, because a lot of people have commented on my videos about some hives that I've lost, that yeah, that's definitely mites. And I'm kind of on the fence. I think it may have been, but I really inspected the comb close, and I didn't see a bunch of mite feces in there like you would normally see on a hive that absconded because of too many mites. So I don't know. So one thing I asked him, I said, do you do alcohol washes to check for mites? And because I don't do that, I just assume my hives have mites and I treat them. And he said, yeah, I check every hive. And he's got 200 hives, and he has a full-time job too, so I don't have any excuse for not doing that. So I did go on to Cayman Reynolds' mite wash video and clicked his Amazon link, and I bought me a mite wash little shaker thing, and I'm going to try that. So I was always just didn't want to do that, and so talking to this guy, and he didn't convince me. He wasn't talking me into it, but the fact that he said that, and he's a very experienced 3rd generation beekeeper, so I really value his opinion. And I was like, you know, I thought to myself, I need to do that. So that's one thing I did this morning. I ordered that, and it should be here next week. So I will quit yapping and get going here. Wow, that started first pull. These little Honda generators are awesome. And I had not started this today. I ran it last week. There's a Harbor Freight knockoff of these. Can't remember the brand name, but they claim they're pretty good too. I put this extension cord on backwards, so I got to unwind it all the way just to get to the plug. Don't. Okay, man, the airplanes today are like crazy. They're all coming in at the same time, so I have to keep pausing and let them go by. So one thing I started doing different this year, instead of using the entrance reducers and putting it on the smallest setting, I cut these little 1x shims to block the whole entrance. And if I have anything on the front, any blocks of wood already reducing it, I'll just take those off temporarily. And I go down the line putting these on ahead of time and blocking it off. So that way I get a better retention of the vapors inside the hive. A lot of my hives have a screen bottom board, and I have all the inserts in on those. So those are in to help retain. And I've been steadily moving towards solid bottom boards, just for the fact that that insert doesn't make a really good seal for these vapors. A lot of vapors escape out the bottom, so I really don't like that. I want it all to go in the hive. So that's one thing I am changing on my equipment setup. I have 3 of these cups, and I put them out on the hives ahead of time, and I put 2 scoops in. I think they're half teaspoon scoops. And when I started out with my wand vaporizer, I used this type of oxalic acid, wood bleach. Now I'm just using the container. So what I found about this and the ProVap 110, it's a problem. This is not pure, and it leaves a little residue in there. And the next time you go to use your vaporizer out in the nozzle, this leaves a residue and it'll eventually block it off. And the next time you go to use it, it will blow up in your face, literally, and it happened to me. And I wasn't wearing eye protection. I should have been, but my veil stopped most of it. But I had that hot vapor shoot right in my face. And I did have my respirator on, but so don't use this with the ProVape. I have a link below to the Florida Labs 99.6% pure. You buy it in a 5-pound bag, and it's pretty economical that way, similar to the same cost as this. Okay, one other thing you need to do when you're using this ProVape 110, I have a little piece of copper tubing so all these hives have a hole drilled, and I'll show you, in the bottom board where you insert the vaporizer nozzle. I stick this in there and make sure there's no blockage on that hole, because I haven't had it happen, but I've heard that if that hole is properly shut, that it will blow the lid off in your face as well, but that has not happened to me. Okay, here's what the oxalic acid looks like. Looks like basically sugar or salt. It's just white crystals. And this is a 2.5 milliliter or a half teaspoon scoop. And I put heaping scoops mostly. So when it's full, it looks about like that. So now that I've got all these filled up and ready to go, I need to cover my entrances. And I just moved my acid down to the next hive I'm going to do. And when I finish one, I pull it out, pop the cap off, put on the next, and insert it and get it going. And I'll let this one that I just did sit for a while and let all of that acid settle out in there, the vapors. And after a couple of minutes, after I've done 1 or 2 more, I'll pull that shim off of the front and move it on down to the next one. So it's kind of like an assembly line. You just keep on moving, and that way you don't ever stop, because the bottleneck of this operation is your vaporizer. So you always want to keep it going and have everything else ready to go. So I'll go down the line, do all these, and I'll do these 2 here, and then we'll start down on the north end. Okay, it took 1 minute 33 seconds per hive is what it's taken to go from 240 degrees down and then get back up again and be totally vaporized. Whew. Man, it never fails. As soon as you put this on, your nose itches like crazy. So that's all there is to it. So I did make a couple of mistakes. Probably noticed I didn't get the entrance covered up on a couple of those. I got ahead of myself. So multitasking, shooting a video and doing it at the same time, just like chasing squirrels, man. My mind just can't keep up with everything going on. But I went back, and those ones that I started without it covered, I put one scoop in and gave them another shot. Also, I have one hive that's got a super on it there, and you saw me take that off and set it to the side. So you're not supposed to acid vaporize with the supers on. I did it last year, and I put a piece of cardboard between them, and when I got done I went through and pulled all the cardboard out. So oxalic acid is a naturally occurring chemical in nature, so it's organic, I believe, but you're not supposed to get it in the honey. A lot of people say it won't hurt it, but I think it's whoever regulates that stuff says don't do it with honey super on, because you might be selling that to someone. So that'll be a fall honey super. I haven't decided if I'm going to harvest it or take the queen excluder out and just leave it on there and let those bees have it over winter if they need it, which I don't think they will. That hive is freaky heavy, and some of my other hives are very light, and I've been rotating hive top feeders around trying to get them boosted back up. So I had hives that were fine, and then like the next week when I'd pick them up, you could like lift the whole hive with 2 fingers. They emptied it out that fast at the end of that dearth, and they had a high population. It's just a bad combination. But we're in the fall flow now, and they're building some stuff up, but and I'm feeding them, so they should be good to go. So one more thing to add there, when I timed it, that was the 3rd hive, I think, or maybe the 2nd one, and it was 1:30. One thing I noticed as I got going, it seemed like it was going faster, because when I would go to the next hive, sometimes that cup would be a lot hotter than when I started out. So I think when that cup's hotter, it vaporizes it even faster, and then it gets back to temperature faster. Some of them, when I move it, I wait till it's 240 degrees, and some of them I noticed I moved it was like 260, 270. So it was that much hotter when I moved those, and it seemed like it went faster on those others. So it's a nice vaporizer. It was well worth the money, although it was expensive. That's the thing about beekeeping, is getting your equipment, and once you've got that, you're pretty good, and your expenses go way down. But it's an expensive hobby to get started. Yeah, so hey, give me a thumbs up on the video if you liked it, and if you didn't like it, you can give me a thumbs up anyway. I'd appreciate it. And thanks to y'all for subscribing. We're almost to 7,000 now, getting closer. So appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, go down there and click the little subscribe, the little red box there, so you catch the new videos that are coming out. And we'll catch you all on the next beekeeping video. Y'all take care. Appreciate y'all subscribing and watching, and we'll keep catching.